All right, let's do this. Hey, everybody, thanks to everybody joining live and to those listening in later. We're in season two of Adopting Bitcoin, a convo with Galloy, Black Kite 744015, and this is the 27th space in our ongoing series. So we hold thoughtful or discussions with thoughtful leaders about Bitcoin and Lightning adoption and about enabling communities and institutions to use Bitcoin as money, which is our mission at Galloy. And I'm super excited about this week's guest. We have Raul and Gloriana from Mi Premier Bitcoin talk about like enabling communities to use Bitcoin as money. Like this is like a program that is doing just that, and just went through their first cohort. It's a Bitcoin education program based in El Salvador. So we're going to start with some intros. We'll hear about kind of how the program came about and how the first cohort went, and then kind of move on to what's next. So without further ado, let's hop in. Let's start with some intros. Gloriana, Raul?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. It's a pleasure for us to be here and to have the opportunity to talk a little bit about the organization and the program. My name is Gloriana. I'm the education director for the organization. I see all the educational part of my first Bitcoin, and yeah, we started from the beginning with Raul and John, and here we are in the journey.
Yeah. And again, guys, thank you for the space and for giving us a chance to talk about our projects. My name is Raul. As well as Lorena, I was also part of the team from the beginning. Currently, I'm the project director, and I was also in charge of the curriculum creation of the diplomado or the diploma that we're giving in some schools. And here we are. Yeah.
Awesome. Maybe we wade into it a little bit. I'd love to hear a little bit about maybe your Bitcoin journeys, and then especially your Bitcoin journey as it relates to like living in the country that adopted Bitcoin. So like the Bitcoin law, how you experienced that.
Perfect. Well, with Gloriana and I, our journey into Bitcoin and the crypto space in a sense as well. It's been very, very similar. We've been a couple for a few years, so we kind of got into the space at the same time. Literally, yeah. And I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, at first, we started. Most of our interests. We briefly saw a little bit of Bitcoin, but it quickly shifted into altcoins, and that's how we got ourselves introduced into the space. At first, we were a little bit seduced by quick money and quick returns from altcoins.
That never happened.
It never happened. Yeah.
Temptation from the sirens. Yeah, the sirens.
Yes. But that got us our first little taste of what crypto is, and we started following a lot of personalities, if we can say that, YouTubers and bloggers. During those days, none of us used Twitter, so quickly we learned that where things are happening, or it's Twitter, right? So we created our Twitter accounts. We started following certain people. And then our president Nayib Bukele announced that he was going to pass, that back in Miami, he was going to pass the law to be approved, and that's when we started. We shifted back into investigating a little bit more about Bitcoin, and from that moment on, I think that we made a complete shift. Like we left all the altcoins and NFT world behind. We just dive even more into Bitcoin, like way more. And yeah, I don't know if you want to continue the story.
No, go ahead.
Okay, all right. So we started investigating a little bit more about Bitcoin, and eventually September came, right? And the law was passed. When that happened, we had a close group of friends who were really interested. Most of our friends don't care, and from the moment that the president announced that the law was going to pass, most of the people that don't approve the Nayib Bukele already were like, oh no, this is a bad idea. This is, they already made their assumptions and their prejudgments, have this misconception about Bitcoin and just dismiss it completely. Just another bad decision from the government, another way for this president to just lose every taxpayer's money. And that was it. But we had a very small, close group of friends who were really interested on this, and we started going into all of these parties and meetups that were organized by, and in September there were a lot of Bitcoiners and people from the space here in El Salvador. So we started going to these parties and these reunions, and we were the only Salvadorans there. Like we got to the place, and just foreigners everywhere, everybody talking in English or in some other language, and we were the only ones, and we were there like with a drink, like, hi.
We didn't even know which the dynamic was. We were there and we're like, okay, are we supposed to, I don't know, talk with people or speak with, we didn't know what the dynamic was, but we were there.
Yeah. And then a lot of the, Bitcoiners they're very open and very friendly, and we were a little bit like very shy, and they were like, hey, you guys are what are you doing? Like, what company do you work for? Or we're like, hey, no, we're not working for any company. We're just Bitcoin enthusiasts. I was like, Glory, we have to say that we're Bitcoin enthusiasts. We were like that, and they were like, oh, cool, you're from here, from El Salvador, and we were like, yeah, and they were like, what? Like, I haven't spoken with any Salvadoran. What do you think about Bitcoin? What do you think about the law? What do you think about the president? And they started like bombarding us
and interviewing us.
We
were like, okay.
Yeah. Hey, can I make a quick interview? And they were like, let's go outside. And we went to outside, and people were interviewing us. That's how we got into the space. A few weeks later, through another friend whose name is Diego. He's also a member of my first Bitcoin. He oversees some of our Twitter. He's the one like, hey guys, I know this guy from the States, which was John, our founder, and he was like, hey, he's bringing like this NGO into El Salvador, and it's going to be focused on teaching Bitcoin, and he's looking for teachers. You guys want to come? And we're like, let's do it.
He was like, this guy want to pay us for giving Bitcoin classes, and we were like, we're in.
I'm interested. Oh, and he pays in Bitcoin. We're like, we're in.
And he pays in Bitcoin.
And that's how we went to John's house and to his Airbnb, and we met him, and that's how it started. Just going. I know we're gonna go in depth in a little bit more, but fast forward. I mean, we started as a small group of Salvadorans and John, in our free time giving Bitcoin classes, and then eventually everything shifted. And when we suddenly realized we had our brand established, we were getting a lot of support. Gloriana and I were the first full-time employees for the organization that's got paid in Bitcoin, and now we're here, man. And it's just been a journey.
But it was funny because at the beginning we thought that the NGO was already established at the US, and they were bringing it to here, and we were just going to be like teachers. But then we talked to John because there were pieces that didn't fit that well, and we were like, wait, but do you have a team already? Is it no, there's nothing. We're gonna start from zero.
Yeah.
So that's when the journey really started, when we realized that this was something that we had to create from scratch. From scratch, yeah. Exactly.
I have a question. Can I ask really quick something? You mentioned that there was this loud minority in the beginning that was opposed to basically the law, because it was everything that Bukele does, they were opposed, and Bitcoin was just another thing that they were opposed to. But it seems like from the popularity of the president, when you look, like, this is a small minority, right? And there should be, like, there's a lot more support for Bukele, but on the other hand, like you said, like you went to these Bitcoin meetups and you were the only Salvadorans there. So is it just like the people that opposed it, are they just louder and the others are just not visible, or how do I have to think about that?
Yeah, so and it's very curious of your side to question that. You must understand that all of these parties and meetups were happening at the capital. We live in the capital in San Salvador, and because of
and at La Zona Rosa we're happening.
Yeah, La Zona Rosa, which is like high end. It's like the top prime high end area of San Salvador, and most of the people that live or move around that area belong to this little minority that are opposed, which, so most people that live in the capital, in that usually go to these high-end places, most of them will be opposed. Most of the support from Bukele is pretty much everywhere else, but like here in the capital, it's so that's why you may have found that interesting. But yeah, I mean, and if you go to these places and you proactively show support to the president, you might get a few like hard looks. So that's why we make that distinction,
Yeah.
But it's also important to understand that even though the President Bukele has a lot of support, in the polls he was like 80%, approval. But not all of the people that support him actually support Bitcoin, which is also interesting.
Yeah.
To understand. Yeah. So yeah,
Makes
I don't know
sense,
if
yeah.
that.
Well, I just try to, I kind of try to put myself in the shoes of an individual who has not yet been orange pilled or or learning about Bitcoin, and then this law comes in. I could sense that even if you are a supporter of Bukele, that there's hesitation or questions around this if you're not orange pilled, right? I actually I was on a flight with a Salvadoran who, and I asked her, I said, hey, how do you think about Bitcoin? And she goes, oh, I don't know. Is it a scam? Is it there's no footing, right? A lot, if you haven't been, doing the research prior to this law, there's no footing. And so it was quickly to say, hey, like, I said, yeah, I think it's one of the most interesting and important technological innovations in recent or all of history. And she goes, oh, interesting. What should I do to learn? Right? It was like a quick. So would you say that you found this as well, which is maybe there's a big segment of the population that's hesitant but willing to learn?
Yes, 100%, and that's definitely why we exist, because of that amount of, or that percentage of people that just, they're not against it, but they don't proactively go and look for information or do their own research and stuff, but they're willing to learn. And those are the I mean, everyone's important, but those are the most important people that we need to get, because if you're willing to learn, then you can make that switch, and that's what we need to do, or what everyone needs to do in order to understand Bitcoin.
Yeah, so you mentioned John. He was like, "Hey, we're doing this thing," and you're like, "Wait, this is from scratch, right?" And so John, I actually was just listening. He was on Ebex's podcast recently, telling his story, but I think he came down like as a journalist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's got like a background in journalism, and really flipped a switch on his own like being, saying, "This is where I need to dedicate my life and my time." And so you came across him and decided like, we're going to build this program. Like, what next? You mentioned Raul, like you were part of the development of the curriculum. Like, how were you thinking about it when you were setting up the program?
Well, at first, because I guess I gotta make a little distinction that my first Bitcoin, what we do, like boots on the ground, if we give this intro classes, which is a very basic, we go, it's a class focused on functionality. The idea is that at the end of the class, you understand the concept of Bitcoin, how it fundamentally differs from everything else. We go over a little bit of centralization, decentralization, all that. We learn how to use wallets, the different type of wallets, so that you can have take your own objective decision of which wallet benefits you the most, suits you the best. And then we give you a little bonus, right? So you can practice sending and receiving.
It's a good bonus.
Which is a good bonus. We usually give between $5 to $10, something like that, depends. So, but that's our intro classes, and that's what we do. Then the opportunity came to go. The opportunity was presented to us, and we had these, open doors on this school to go and teach and, give a much robust course on Bitcoin, right? And John told me, hey, man, I mean, you're going to be in charge of this. We're going to build a team. They're going to be focused on building the curriculum. But you got to decide first, what are going to be the topics, the main topics, and the main things that we're going to be seeing. So we immediately knew that the objective that we needed with this diploma. Oh, and he told me all of the details. Like, hey, it's going to be oh, and here are the books. We're going to show them.
I'll show you later. Yeah.
And he told me, like, it's going to be a 10-week course, one class a week. It's going to be an hour and a half each class. And during that period, you have, that X amount of time, which is 15 hours for you to teach Bitcoin to these students, right? So we knew that
from -1 to 1.
Yeah. Yeah, and we basically knew the objective was, for kids to understand the fundamentals of Bitcoin. Where does it come from? Why it exists? Which means understanding that it's an alternative to our current system. But that means that we got to make sure that they understand the current system. So there is a little bit of financial education at the beginning before we dive into Bitcoin 101, and then a little bit at the end of the course is like what does Bitcoin represents to the future for Salvador, right? And the objective was that learn the fundamentals of Bitcoin, learn why it's an alternative, and also be able to teach somebody else about Bitcoin, which is very important. And it's one of the things that we evaluate at the end for them to be able to not only create a wallet, restore it, back it up, be able to send and receive, understand an on-chain transaction, know when you can consider it complete, with confirmations and all that, know how to go to mempool and verify it, but also be able to teach to their parents, their friends about, Bitcoin.
I love that part. It's so important to be able to actually explain it to others because, that's how word of mouth, like how we learn Bitcoin from each other. And that's why also like meetups are so important and other Bitcoiners and teaching and spreading their knowledge and sharing their knowledge. So I love that part. Really good job, man.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
And it's such a difficult part. Like you can listen to hours and hours and hours and be nodding your head and being like, I get it. And then one person asks you on the street, oh, tell me about it. And like you you get lost, you're saying like bingo words, like just like throwing them out. So
it takes a lot of practice too. So yeah, just like Andrew said, like you can listen and you can understand, but teaching it is another story. And trying to teach Bitcoin, that's actually that was my impression. That's when you really like dig deeper and because and it helps your own understanding. And that's probably that way with a lot of things, but especially with Bitcoin, I realized that like trying to teach it, like improves your own understanding, like by a lot.
Yeah. Sometimes you get tough questions that you just I've never think of it, and then you need to go to your house and make your own research and then be ready to answer these other questions that can can be asked.
And definitely our knowledge of Bitcoin has deeply grown a lot. I mean, it's gone. I mean, at first I was looking for different resources, and just to give you a little fun fact, the original draft of the diplomado, because we were working with people from the States, was made in English, and then we made we translated it to Spanish. But like the first ever draft was all in English. And another interesting factor is that we knew from the start that we're going to be dealing with high school kids, right? So we not only we wanted to compress and condense all of this knowledge in a 10-week, 1 hour and a half long class, but also make it fun, make it, entertaining, include as much activities. And, you guys know that Bitcoin, it can easily go way down the rabbit hole and get very technical and overwhelming. So, it was that challenge as well, to try to make it as fun as possible. And the design, because suddenly one thing was, drafting all of what's going to be in the book, but then it's a matter of design. How do we design it? How do we include make it as colorful as possible and as more interesting as possible for the kids? So the kids at home, if they want to read a little bit more, they can easily go to the book and just be something, nice and pretty to your eyes as well. It's something that you can easily go back and read it. And I think that this was 2 months like 2 months and a half before we started. Like, hey, Raul, this is what you're gonna do, and we start on this date, on April 28th. and that, that's your
It has to
deadline,
be
man.
printed. I mean, the content translated, designed, and printed.
Yeah, so it was a big challenge. There were a lot of long nights filled with caffeine, but it was good. It was good.
I wanna, if you guys wanna see it, I wanna show you. This is the first version. We're constantly working on the next version. Where we're gonna start San Marcos. Well, we started Ataco 1 week ago, and we're starting second group of San Marcos, which is the first group the school from the first group that graduated, and we're gonna start with the version 2. So this is the first version. We got the version 2, and right now we're working in the third version because there's always room to improve. To improve. So this is a diploma. I know that you've seen this. And then this is a very cool part of the diplomado. We decided at the first, here says "Por qué Bitcoin?", which is why Bitcoin, is the first question that they fill before they receive the first class. Is once they get the workbook, they answer why Bitcoin, and it's actually the last. It's actually the
part of the final evaluation. Yeah,
exactly. They answer again why Bitcoin, but with this, I mean, after the knowledge
after the lesson. So you basically check what they were thinking before they learned about it, what misconceptions they had in their heads, and how you're going through that diploma process improved their understanding or changed it.
Exactly.
Very nice. Yeah,
and at the beginning, they just answer like this. It's
like a small paragraph.
Like a small paragraph, and then the some essays were 3 or 4 pages of full content, why Bitcoin, blah 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 blah. So that was very cool. And then this is like the design. We got this interactive Satoshi that's gonna help you through the whole workbook. And then you have some exercises, there's some QRs for videos, for activities. I mean, this one is less interactive than the version 2 because we modified it a bit.
Yeah, but we've included a lot of fun activities. But just for example, on the first version, the first 2 classes are just what is money. We don't talk about Bitcoin at all. So first 2 classes are intro to the monetary system, like how does the current monetary system works, where does it come from, and it's important. We want to make sure that they understand inflation, centralization, how governments can be watchful of us, how they can regulate stuff. And then the second class is a little bit of history of money. And then the second class, we have this cool activity where we do a barter game, where we give out like little pieces of paper, like I have a t-shirt, I need a bicycle. And then somebody else says I have CDs and I need a t-shirt, right? So we're constantly including all of these activities for kids to not only be like sitting down, listening to us and just answering questions and participating, but also make it very interactive.
In particular, that exercise is very fun because at the beginning they're just changing trading papers till they got what they have and whatever. But then the second part of the exercise is to include a piece of paper that says money. So then everything changes, and that's the way we try to explain it, or the way they can realize why money or a currency is important for them.
You're basically teaching them financial literacy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing because I didn't have that at school, and what you're telling me here is making me so insanely bullish on El Salvador's youth and future that, oh my God, I mean, I didn't get that information. I wish I had. I would have made much more better decisions in my life.
Yeah. And now that you say that, just to mention, and we're still like cutting, making the plan to be very well done. But top performing students, we're gonna give them even we have like designed like this program for them to visit our house, because we have our own house as Mi Primer Bitcoin, to receive a little bit of more advanced classes. Learn a little bit more about Lightning nodes, for example, or as wallet securities, all this kind of stuff, and even so developed like an internship program where these kids can also go and visit companies that are working here in Bitcoins for them to learn how that really works, and just give them like a full broad and just really set the base for them to have a real chance and an opportunity, and just say, hey, I have a diplomado for my first Bitcoin, and I've also done this internship here.
At Galloy, for example, imagine having one of these kids 1 month at Galloy, just learning and realizing that you can live from this and through this and with this. Yep.
I was on, actually, I was like joined the Cafe Bitcoin, like the Swan pod the other day. And somebody was just talking about they were inspired, and I actually was like, I'm inspired because we're gonna speak to Me Premier Bitcoin, and the way that I see this program, even before hearing like some more in depth, but it's like just thinking about the future and like the cascade of dominoes that you all are setting off with this program is awe-inspiring, because you're not only teaching individuals who need to learn this information, but you're teaching future teachers. You're building curriculum in a way, like you said, that takes people from 0 or -1 to 1. Like the way that you just described this, I mean, making it interactive so that you're like making it memorable, right? Like, is rather than like, let me tell you about coincidence of wants and properties of money and like these things, you're like, these are activities that will stick with somebody, right? And so I have this like combination of FOMO, like I need to also enroll and like finish learning Spanish and then enroll, but also like I'm just so excited to see the program grow. So like, can you talk a little bit about like where it is now, and like I think you have like how many maybe like locations, or like how are you thinking about version 2? Like what changes are you making? What have you been learning so far, and then and what are you thinking about in terms of next step?
Perfect. Okay, so from the start we knew that, and this is a little bit of our part of our culture as a team, as My First Bitcoin, is that we're focused always on results, and there's always room for improvement. So we knew from the start that the first workbook will have like a lot of room for improvement, right? Like this was our first time teaching this in the school. We started in this first school is a school in San Marcos. San Marcos is a small town, like satellite of the main capital. So it's like 25 to 30 minutes, car drive away. And the goal is to reach 200 students, but we needed to divide that in 3 groups. So we have now finished, we graduated the first group, and we're going to start this Saturday with group number 2. So the idea was that during the whole teaching of group 1, those 10 weeks, we're going to make every time we finish a class, we're going to make a little evaluation, what went well, what went bad, what can be improved. Like this part, we can remove it. We're going to have to, add more information on this topic, because,
less
text here, more activities there, more pictures here, and at the same time that we are teaching every Saturday, we're also working on the content of the workbook. And that's how this like constant improvement. There's a lot of changes from 1.0 to 2.0. The 2.0, it's more complete, and it's like if this is like a 5 from 1 to 10, I will say that 2.0 is like an 8.5 almost. Like there's a big improvement.
But
there.
This is not a 5.
This is the same. Yeah.
You're creating the scale as you go.
Yeah, as we go.
But it's funny because actually we had the first graduation on Saturday, and then Monday we started working on the 3rd version of the diplomado. So we're continuously improving and working. Yeah,
and at first it was me and a few others, but Gloriana eventually joined a team that was working on the curriculum. Now we are more, we're a more robust team, and we understand each other a lot, and we're getting a lot of help from Bitcoin experts that not only know a lot about Bitcoin, but are also experts in pedagogy and they, they are also they're teachers in universities who are also helping us a lot cover not only the more complex topics of Bitcoin, but also give us a lot of help and guidance on how proper ways to teach a class. We've learned a lot about Socratic method and all of this like teaching methods. We've learned a lot of in that as well. And
shout out to Dalia and Robert.
Yeah, shout out to Dalia and Robert, who have been great helping us there as well with all of that. And regarding expansion, yes, there is at the moment that we started making a lot of fuss and talk about San Marcos. A lot of other schools started coming to us. It's worth mentioning that at the moment there was also some interest from the Ministry of Education as well, to implement some sort of Bitcoin program into the the standard curriculum, because at the moment the diplomado that we're giving in San Marcos consider it like an additional, like an extra, like a how do you call it in English, like a when it's not optative,
like an optative.
Yeah, like maybe. An optative diplomado. Yeah, so which the classes are on Saturdays, which are outside of the regular schedule, right, which is Monday to Friday. So there are some talks with the Ministry of Education right now. We're part of this committee that is working and building what they call the Bitcoin ABC. And things are going slow there. As things goes with government entities and bureaucracy, it's not as swift and quick as we would love to, but there are some talks there. So yeah, there's that, and then
we also started Ataco.
In Ataco as well. Ataco is another. This is a town. It's like a colonial town. It's farther. It's on the western side of the country. Ataco. It's like this colonial place where the little paved roads and everything looks very colonial. It's like frozen in time, and it's Ataco. It's focused a lot on tourism, but it's in the middle of all these giant coffee plantations, so everything moves around coffee. One of the places we can have the best coffee in the world, I can assure you that. And so yeah, there was this interest from this schooling in Ataco, which is just pretty much in the middle of the town. It's a very big school. We're talking about 1,800 students, so there's a lot. And a lot of opportunities there. And the school director contacted us and say, hey, what does it need, what is required for me to get you guys here and start teaching here? So we, like Gloriana said, we finished, not only we started working on 3.0 on Monday when we finished after the weekend of graduation in San Marcos, but on Tuesday we were starting classes in this school in Ataco.
Yeah, 3 days after our first graduation. So we got 2 groups from different schools that are going to graduate on September.
Yep.
So that's great to hear. I mean, in the beginning, when the announcement came, obviously there was just an announcement. Then the Bitcoin law came, and they put out basically the Chivo app together with a legal support for Bitcoin, but still, like, nobody knew of anything about Bitcoin or couldn't use it. And there were I couldn't see any government efforts to really educate people. Like, you could see like big statements and these and Chivo ads, maybe like with marketing slogans and these Chivo kiosks. But I mean, that is necessary, but it's not sufficient, right? For people to start using Bitcoin. So it's great. Like, it was very required that some education effort like Mi Primer Bitcoin came up. I'm personally very happy that it's non-governmental, but I'm also happy to see that the government and the Ministry of Education is seeing you guys and actually acknowledging that need. And now, like you said, like, government takes a little bit of time, but now they're opening schools for you guys and bringing you into schools to have more exposure to more people, to more young people. Is that the right way to think about this? Is the government also planning like programs on their own, maybe?
Well, I mean, again, it's like you said, that's true. I mean, in the sense that the law was passed, but there were little to almost no efforts from the government side to do some education. I remember very well when President Bukele made like a national, when he announcement, and most of the only education that we got was himself explaining how to use the Chivo app, and just focusing a lot more on the fact that, hey, if you want to use it, you're going to use it. If you don't, that's it. It's all right, whatever, But and yeah, there were all of this kiosk open, and that's good, In a sense, it does help, right? But it's not the only thing. I mean, there's a lot of work to do. We definitely felt that there was like this big, immense gap of nobody doing anything about education, and not only that, you have suddenly from one day to the next, there were a lot of misconceptions and things that we need to break. People can easily think like Bitcoin is the same as Chivo, and Chivo is the same as President Bukele, and just break that little paradigm. It's very, very, very difficult. But again, when we started with the diplomado, obviously our intention wasn't to ruffle a few feathers on the government side, but definitely this was brought to the attention to the Ministry of Education, and at first, we don't want to think it like that, but we feel in some senses that we kind of like force them a little bit to take a little bit of action on this. And for our end, it's we wish things were a little bit faster, a little bit more, efficient, and acting more like this. But there is, I'm glad that there is some interest in their end, and there is some real efforts that are putting in together at the moment with different other entities. It's not only us. There's also Bitcoin Beach. There's also Paxful, some other entities that are also involved in helping the Ministry of Education build this curriculum. But yeah, we wish things were a little bit faster. But yes, there is a little bit of interest there.
Yeah, and it's something that's gonna happen in the future, but it's not happening right now. So we're just working on our own for now. In the diploma, speaking about the diploma, but yeah, hopefully we want to do something with the ministries. It's the only way that we cannot scale it to every single school in the country. There are more than 5,000 schools. They're the only one that can, scale it in the way we want. If we want to get into if we want to take the diploma or any Bitcoin education to any school in the country.
Yeah.
So
I agree that the way that it's actually going is quite good. If we calling for government intervention is not something I want to do as a Bitcoiner, and when it happens, it can go really, really wrong. Just take a look at what's been happening in the Central African Republic, where it's way too much noise from the government side. With sure, they have Bitcoin as legal tender, but there is this metaverse and this Sango coin and these NFTs and all of that distraction and noise. And I'm very thankful that this is not present in El Salvador at all. At least that's what I'm not seeing that, at least from here. So I think it's very helpful that it's Bitcoin only, and it reduces confusion, I guess.
Yep.
Correct.
It is Bitcoin only, I believe.
Yeah.
And you're kind of pioneering and proving something like a proof of concept, right? So Bitcoin Beach in and of itself did a similar thing, which is hey, you have people living on Bitcoin, they're earning Bitcoin, they're buying food in Bitcoin, and that the government can point to say, hey, this is working, this is possible, let's scale it, right? And so it seems like you guys are out there at the front saying, hey, we're doing this. We're not talking about it. We're not asking hundreds of people. We're just going to build something and we're going to iterate on it, right? Through a series of iterations. It's super exciting.
Proof. I think that all the Bitcoin companies has proof of work always in mind, so it always works. Proof of work always works. So we just, we're, as a team, we're doers, and we're not waiting or, waiting for more money to come. We're just trying to figure it out, finding it out, working on what we have, the resources we have. Sometimes they're not resources, sometimes there's no money, and we have to keep on working and keep on, moving forward in order for, and then you guys hear about us, and then you gave us this space, and who knows what happens, but this only happens if we continue moving forward and do what we got to do.
Yeah. I mean, and one of the things, like the reason why we have this space, the reason why, I mean, adopting Bitcoin that Galway co-organizes exists because of a similar problem that you're solving, which is people being in El Salvador saying, you have a law, but like there's a gap between this knowledge. And so this idea was to focus people's attention like a magnifying glass, right, with the sun, to like focus energy and attention on of the entire global sort of Bitcoin space into saying, hey, we have one of 195, 196 countries that has adopted Bitcoin. Like this is a global initiative that we need to support. And so we're happy to have you here. And then the other thing is there's communities around the world that are trying to build sort of to follow in Bitcoin Beach footsteps and to bring education. So you have Bitcoin Lake in Guatemala. You have Bitcoin Beach Brazil or Praia Bitcoin. You have Fernando in Brazil. And they're taking different approaches. Some of Fernando is fixing a computer lab so that kids can have access to better education, and in Bitcoin Lake they're doing a lot with a local school and even with some mining. And so I just think like one of the things I'd like to ask is what lessons, like you've been through one of these the first diploma program, you're making some changes. Are there stories you can tell of like things you thought would work that like didn't, that some of the things that you've changed, or maybe some of your best memories of like the best activities that you've done that like other people could learn from as they're like orange pilling their communities?
Cool.
Well, there's a few things. Well, I mean, definitely it helps a lot when it comes to teaching about Bitcoin, and I think that's mainly more of the things that we can mention. As an organization, like Gloriana said, we have two things. Like, I mean, focus always on results, but proof of work, and don't trust verify. And it's always good to be that internally in the organization, and that ensures that it's more focused on things getting done than just like you said, talking about it, or this has to be done on this way, or no, just it has to be done one way. If it's not done that way as you liked or you hope, it's fine, but it's getting done, right? But more, talking more a little bit of teaching, I guess the fact that making or including as many activities as possible, and making as more fun and
yes, that's something else. Yeah, you and it's something that we in all the Bitcoiners that came to the graduation can say the same. There was we figure how to create a personal bond with our students. So when you create a bond with a kid, then the way they receive the information and the way they learn, it's more like open, like it's different when you have a lecture, and you gotta sit there and just don't talk and don't look at the other kids, and it's very boring, and when we've been students, we know that, and I don't know why, but teachers have been students too, so that's kind of weird. But yeah, that part, when we're their friends, we're young, we're funny, we make jokes, we make fun of each other, and not in a bad sense, but we make fun of each other. It's very important. And more with Bitcoin, that's a new technology. They don't have any idea of what Bitcoin is. At the beginning, they ask you questions that have no sense at all because of their lack of knowledge, for sure. But then when you get to fifth class or something like that, they start making you questions that you're very impressed of. They're questions very 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 thoughtful questions, based on the knowledge they have. So So it's a process, it's a complete process, and you have to be very aware of that since the beginning, since first class. You need to start making that bond with the kids and make them feel that they're in a safe place, where they can make any questions, they can laugh, they can ask if they can go to bathrooms. There are kids that are still in the bathroom, they never came back, but you gotta be aware of all of this stuff, and that's the thing that I one of the things that I think that is a success of this diplomado, the bond that you create with the students and the comfortable you make them feel in order for them to understand the information you want to. So that's something that I think that I would
that at least speaking on the teaching part, going a little bit more as an organization, there's a few things, especially the things that we can mention to this other grassroots, things that are popping up in Latin America and the world. When you first start, and there's a lot of you can inspire a lot of people, and we receive right now in our team we're about almost 20 people, right? But we've received a lot of interest from many others that really want to work with us. But you can easily sometimes learn that somebody that maybe has the skill but doesn't has the right motivation or doesn't seem to comprehend the vision of the program. I would rather work with somebody that has no skills but has the right motivation and understands the vision, and just build from there on, rather than working with somebody that may have skills and it's on paper it may seem that he's bringing a lot into the team, but if it's not the right motivation or doesn't have the same vision, it's not going to work. We've learned that as a team as well. We've also learned that most of the times, and it happens with us a lot, we say that we are an NGO and there is no monetary interest, there is no monetary gain from our end, but sometimes people still believe that underneath there is some gain. It's always like, okay, but what are you selling? No, we're not selling anything. I mean, there's no catch, there's no pyramid scheme behind this, there's nothing. It's just us giving people education.
Yeah, people usually ask you, but who's behind? Cool, you give $10 in bonus, you give this diploma for free, you build this thing for the school, but tell me, who's behind? And it's funny for us because we would just look at each other and we're like, it's just us, and it's unbelievable for us too, and
So I guess that the thing to learn from that is that if we are, because we usually do it like that, we're very open, we're very transparent of what are our motives, and we try to move, if we're going to a new place, bring as many members of the team as possible, to be as open, and don't have this kind of secretive and very jealousy about the team and how we operate, and we don't try to be like that and be as open as possible, and that
even finances are open. If a member of our team wants to know what's happening in finances, they can ask, and and we'll show them. That's
so
how it's supposed to be.
How does Mi Primer Bitcoin finance itself? You mentioned you're an NGO. You're probably getting donations. Who is can you talk a little bit about that? I understand that it might be frustrating that people ask it, but on the other hand, it's a little bit natural to want to know and to inquire. Don't trust, verify, right? Who is this person? What is he? Why is he telling me what he's selling, right? Or giving me money, that he says the magic internet money. So can you talk a little bit about that and clear up the confusion?
Yes. We're as you said, we're an NGO and we live from 100% from donations. Right now, we're working on something else because bear market can get tough for everyone. So we're working on be sustainable, at least for the operations that let's say
cover our operational costs.
Operational costs, so we're selling some merch now, and there's some stuff going on, but it's
we're designing these courses that we can
also advanced
courses that we can sell to companies. But the idea is always that if we're going to sell you as a company, for example, you want, hey, come here and teach all of my middle and upper management about Bitcoin. Okay, we're going to sell you a course, but the idea is a part of the money that it's going to come in. It's because you're going to be supporting. We're going to that's going to finance a class in a rural community, outside the capital, because we give bonuses. That's the whole point.
That's why we need money, because we get a bonus.
Yeah.
In every class. So if you teach 10 students, that it's a small class, it's going to be $100 plus $100 plus the teachers paid. So yeah.
Yeah, but we are going back to how we operate. Yeah, it's mainly donations. Donations come either from a company, for example, they usually fund a specific project. Like, okay, we're gonna fund this particular project because we have a list of projects, different things that we want to do in different places. It's all focused on education and making a very substantial impact on the community. But if you fund us, you fund a specific project. Some companies give us like a one-time donation. Sometimes okay, I'm going to give you X amount for this project, and then I'm going to give you a little amount every month for the next 6 months or something. We also receive a lot of donations from specific people.
Yeah, Bitcoiners.
Bitcoiners. Some of them are anonymous. Some of them are not.
Yeah, we get a lot of anonymous donations. And some of them are good donations.
Yeah, some of them are very substantial donations. Most of our substantial donations that have come from people are anonymous, and we really appreciate it. And we know, especially hardcore Bitcoiners who are very, a little bit fanatical and a lot of concern on keeping things anonymous, and we respect that, obviously. But yeah, I guess what I want to say is that the amount of support has been amazing. Like Gloriana said, right now the bear market obviously affects a little bit our finances, but the amount of support is amazing. But yes, going back to your original question, it's just donations. Yep. Mainly donations. Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
we probably give back about 85 or 90% of everything we got. We give it back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as you may know, maybe this is the right time to tell you guys, Adopting Bitcoin is also a non-profit organization. And this means that basically everything that we get in excess of basically producing the conference in El Salvador is going to be donated. And last year it was development, Bitcoin development, Lightning development. But we noticed when we were in El Salvador that education is really what needs to be invested in and built out. So I talked to my co-organizers, and we agree that Mi Primer Bitcoin is just the right initiative that we want to support. And yeah, we hereby pledge that you will also be receiving a one-time donation from us from the profits of the conference. So because this is exactly, and like you mentioned, like Bitcoiners support you anonymously, and everyone who understands Bitcoin understands like the importance of education. You have to put in a lot of hours to get it, to get to a point, some say in excess of 100 hours of listening to podcasts and reading articles. Obviously, like you have to start somewhere, and I totally love what you guys are doing, and so yeah, that's a little announcement and pledge from Adopting.
Thank you so much, guys.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. It really, guys, it really means
it means a lot. It means a lot. We're in a bear market in the organization too, so it really helps us, and it not only us. I mean, we're not speaking about us, but it helps the organization, and it's gonna help a lot of people to. It's gonna help us to get to a lot of more people. So thank you very much. That's something that really means a lot.
Really appreciate you guys, and thank you a lot. And I really hope that you can come here, and we'll give you the whole tour.
Yes,
we'll be happy for us, to. There's nothing better coming to El Salvador and having a local guide, and we can definitely, we're more than happy to take.
I'm very much looking forward to coming back to El Salvador, and so is Andrew, and a lot of other Bitcoiners that I talked to. A lot of Bitcoiners were already there last year, even though it could be more. There were some things like misconceptions about El Salvador with security and stuff. There was a lot of fear and uncertainty and doubt in the media. Also, COVID regulations made it really hard last year. So this year is going to be better. So, and I know of a lot of people who are really looking forward to come to Bitcoin country and see like the first nation that
Yeah.
adopted Bitcoin as legal tender. Yeah, merchants accepting it, obviously spreading all over the country. It started in Bitcoin Beach, but now going on all around the country. And yeah, it's a journey. The country is not there yet. I mean, a Bitcoin law doesn't make a Bitcoin country immediately. It takes some education, as we know. And I'm very thankful that you guys are working on this and actively on the ground and yeah, doing these actionable courses. I've seen from Nor what your guys like do, like creating a wallet and deleting it, then restoring it on another phone. Then and that's the part I mentioned already that I love, like teaching someone else what they learned and how to do it. I think this is so important, and yeah, each one must teach one,
Exactly.
like they say in hip hop, and it's also true for Bitcoin.
It is. It is, and there's a big effort there. And yeah, that's the whole point. I think one thing I now that you mentioned about teaching somebody else is that part of the diploma program is that we also give out classes in the school at the same school. Like there's like an open door for community members, like parents, teachers, friends who are not necessarily students, but they can come in after we finish like the classes with the students at school, but they can come in and receive our normal introduction class that we were talking about briefly before. Because the idea is not only that we're going to impact the school, but also try to make an impact on the community. We're always trying to find a way to make that possible. So, and like you said, that having a law doesn't mean that it's already working for everyone. We have something very clear, is that without education there is no adoption. And one thing is, you can come and you can go to El Sonte, you can see there's like a little circular economy there. You can come back to San Salvador, the capital, and see that some businesses are accepting Bitcoin and see that there's like this little community. But that's not the same across the whole country. You go to San Miguel, which is on the eastern side of the country, where we are already working. We're having, one of our members there, it's giving like 3 or 4 classes every week, right? Something like that.
The whole
There's a lot of
western part of
interest.
the.
But if you go there to any business and you, hey, do you accept Bitcoin? They're gonna laugh at your face.
They laugh at you.
They laugh at you. They're like, oh man,
Give me cash.
I
What
want
you
cash.
talking about? Yeah.
Give me the greens. So yeah, there's a lot of work.
Yeah, the reality, it's not the reality people or people think it is. We call it Bitcoin bubble.
Yeah,
They just come, they go to El Sonte, they come here, they climb the Santana volcano, they come back, they go to a lake, and then that's their whole journey, and that's why they think, and I don't blame them, but that's why they think that it's reality.
It was the same with the internet in the 1990s.
And
there were a bunch of nerds using it, and if you ask someone else, like told them, internet is the future, you should look into it. Like they go, what are you talking about? Like even like people like high profile people said like the internet is not gonna be anything. Like just wipe it away.
Exactly. I relate a lot what we do with internet, and I usually say that we're teaching internet on the middle 90s.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're doing right now, and it's crazy if you think it that way. Because there's a lot to come, and we're at the beginning of it.
And you're showing, and you're not just talking about it, but you're living it, right? I listened to you on the Stefan Livera pod recently, and you said, "Hey, I get paid in Bitcoin, and I pay bills in Bitcoin." Could you talk briefly just about this, and maybe how do you do it and impact locally, but then how does that affect the students, maybe in terms of the fact that you do that?
The students, what do you mean? Sorry.
Well, like when you're talking to students about like you can actually earn.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I got your question. Yeah, actually, Raul and I, we got paid 100% in Bitcoin. We don't get a single dollar, and the only Bitcoins that I switch into dollars is my rent. I have an orange bill. My ¿cómo se llama?
Landlord.
my landlord, I have an orange feeling, but that's the only. Actually, my maid, the one that helped us with cleaning our house, she accepts Bitcoin now. Then she just got a Chivo wallet,
kiosk or
and
ATM.
ATM and what BTM, and then he just withdraw it. But yeah, I received and you know, I love saying this, just not because I received my whole pay in Bitcoin, but because I need people, you know, I need people to understand that it is possible. It is hard. Yes, it is. There's sometimes you got more money or less money. That's the reality. It's not, I mean, living with Bitcoin as a legal tender permanently, it's hard. You have to be very, you know, your mind has to be very focused on what you know and or what you think you believe. But yeah, and how I do it, I just go to the same supermarket, I go to the same cashier, you know, that he knows how to assume my lightning QR. Then we go to the same gas station, I take my dog to the same vet, we go to the same pharmacy, drugstore. Yeah. We just make our own, you know, like economy around the
And Andrew, you have to take in consideration that Gloriana, she's not Salvadoran. She's from Costa Rica. So because of that, that means that she doesn't have Chivo. For example,
which is worse.
Now, I'm from I'm Salvadoran and I have Chivo, right? Because I have a DUI. Having Chivo, yes, it's an app that it's, you know, it's been a drama story how it's been built and everything, and there are a lot of issues with it. You know, there's been some improvements here and there. But I guess the thing that I want to point out is that Chivo is the only, you know, Bitcoin wallet in the world that allows you not only to swap to dollars with no cost at all, but it also, you can easily then deposit to my bank account, for example. So in my Chivo,
you don't have to pay taxes because it's tax free.
And you don't pay taxes, right? So for example, if I have to pay a bill in dollars, I can easily, you know, swap from Bitcoins to dollars in Chivo, and I'll get the exact amount to the cent that I wanted to change. And then I can easily then deposit it to my debit card and then just use it to pay whatever, you know?
Yeah, if they pay us and Bitcoin's going down, he just swap it to dollars, he stay a while, then he swap it back to Bitcoin, and that's something I cannot do. So I just go, I see my monthly pay going down, and you just have to resist, you know, there's no other, I mean, I cannot do it. There's no other way I can do it. So I just wait for it. I don't tether up. I don't do that stuff. I just keep it on Bitcoin. And sometimes they pay me and Bitcoin goes up. So I got a little bit more and then goes down the next payment or whatever. So I just, you know, it's hard. It's not like, haha, let's change, let's be Bitcoiners and just, let's not use dollars, you know, because the system is completely against you. So you gotta, you know, every morning wake up and you know, tell yourself what you think and convince you every day that what you're doing is what you gotta do, and then your Bitcoins are always going to be on your wallet, even if it goes up or down. There's always going to be yours. So yeah, it's hard, but that's what I do. I just go to the same super, and I don't look at the, you know, I have my Moon wallet. I have it on with the stars. When you press it and you can, you know. I just don't see it. I just pay, and just forget if it's a little bit more or a little bit less. And yeah, that's something. Answering your question about the students, that's something that sometimes I mention when, you know, when people ask you this kind of question of volatility or Bitcoin legal tender or whatever. I mentioned that I received my whole pay in Bitcoin and that And I also share this kind of story so people can realize that it is possible. It is hard. It is not easy at all, but it is possible because I'm leaving. I pay all my bills. I pay my rent. My dog's good. I'm good. I eat, you know, and maybe a little bit more uncomfortable. Yes. Yeah. But here I am. Yeah. You know, and that's what I realize.
I think there's two things in action. Like one, you are helping create demand among merchants, right? You have merchants that you go to, right? Or if you go to a place, you say, hey, I'm paying in Bitcoin. And so the more people, and through
sometimes we go in groups of 10 people, you know, and hey, do you accept Bitcoin? No. And imagine the owner, like, no, and just
we're like okay,
yes,
and then we
we're
go.
like, and then we go
walk
to the next one.
Even if we had dollars to pay, we're
Yes,
like, no, you don't accept the Bitcoin. No, we're gonna go and we walk out the
because
door.
that's our responsibility, you know, as Bitcoiners, not as a member of my first Bitcoin, but as a Bitcoiner, you need to push, you need to make any effort that you can count. If you get one store that accept one more store to accept Bitcoin, then you've done right, you know.
And the people that you're teaching in my Premier Bitcoin are now going to be doing the same thing. And so, like I said earlier, I see this is at the point of a long and powerful spear that is like leaning toward the future. So thank you for that. And then the second part, Kamal was just showing a little bit, which is more work being done to allow people to use Lightning Network rails, but to hold in dollars. And so I don't know, Kamal, if you wanted to chat a little bit about that.
Yeah, I tried to share it on screen really briefly, but somehow it didn't work. Maybe Andrew, you can share the link. I just flipped it over to you. But I can explain the concept. Like as you mentioned, like Bitcoin exchange rate is volatile. It's like we've seen the exchange rate go down from 69,000 to 20,000. And like obviously Bitcoiners who have looked into it and learned about it, they know this is a long-term low time preference thing. Like they should hold their long-term savings in Bitcoin, and for short-term obligations, which are mostly in dollars still, and they will probably also, like, until more people learn about it and adoption processes, this will take some time. This won't change, right? So basically your rent will be $500, and you have to pay in dollars. So you need to be able, that's the feedback that we got from a lot of people in Bitcoin Beach. You need to be able to keep those obligations in the currency that you need to pay in. And so that's a feature that we've been working on at Galloy. I might have mentioned it already before. It's basically adding the opportunity or option to hold your value in US dollars, similar to Chivo. Now I can't say it's just like Chivo because nobody really knows how Chivo works.
Yeah.
But I can briefly talk about like how it works. So you're not having a stable coin, you're not having like some banking integration, but it's called, basically in finance, it's called a synthetic dollar. And the advantage of that is like the dollar value doesn't change when you put something into that account. So if you put in $100 now, it's going to be $100 next month, in 2 months, in 1 year, no matter what the Bitcoin price does. And the big advantage is you can pay from that account over Lightning. So if someone is accepting Bitcoin, you can pay him from that dollar account. So if your landlord says the rent is $500, you can keep those $500 when you have them in the dollar account, and then when you have to pay them, when the payment is due, you will have that obligation ready to be paid independent of the Bitcoin exchange rate. So this is something that I think a lot of people that want to use Bitcoin but haven't really like adjusted their personal finance to the volatility of the exchange rate, that's going to be useful for them, like in the short term, in the medium term, until they learn and can plan accordingly. It gives them another tool and option to basically in their personal finance arsenal. That's the way I think of it.
Yes, I agree with you and on the fact that tools like this and like Bitcoin Beach Wallet or Chivo, but having that little, including that part of having the ability to change from one to the other and having, in this case, I think it's Tether, the one that they're using, right?
I'm not sure what Chivo is using. I don't think they're using Tether. Tether is a
No, not Chivo. No, the
Bitcoin Beach Wallet.
Yeah.
I think you got it's synthetic USD.
Yes, exactly. So there is
Most
no
of
stable coin involved. Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, but not
Yeah, it's not
also.
like Strike, for example, that they use
I think
USD.
Strike uses
Yeah, they use,
USDT.
you know, that the I don't know if you're familiar with Strike, yeah, right?
Yeah, but Striker is in that regard similar to Chivo because it's also like not it's close and nobody really knows how it works, and it works. They so
No, not only that, but when you deposit bitcoins into Strike, they don't go up or down. They just
right.
they're stable. They use USDD. I think that's what they use, and you
Yeah.
can send them to Lightning, but you don't have the possibility to swap it to Bitcoin and make it, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
But I guess what I want to mention is that in some custodial options that are here in El Salvador, because some people they want to learn Bitcoin, they want to use.
I lost audio. Can you
We
hear
just
me,
lost your
Raul?
audio. Can you check your microphone, Raul?
Uh-oh.
Bad
Uh-oh.
connection.
Oh, there you are. You said some people want to use Bitcoin, and that then
Oh
you're
yeah,
going.
yeah, but they're not ready to be sovereign with their financial stuff, right? So some people are not ready to just back up their keys and save that, and that's it. No, there's people that especially older generations, I forgot the password, I forgot my pin to my app.
yeah, Christina.
Like Christina,
our maid, she comes every week and she's like, Gloriana, I forgot my password again. Can you help? No, so she's not prepared. I mean, there's a lot of hate for Chivo and stuff, but the reality of the adoption, it's other, and people just not prepared, and they're not responsible enough, for their financial freedom or whatever. So they need to go through Chivo or another custodial wallet that helps them. Now she remembers her. Now she remembers her password, but it took 2 months or 3 months until she could see remember what. So it's a process.
And it's not that we're defending custodial wallets or something. It's just that we are acknowledging that it's part of the process.
It's
and
reality.
They are like that in between, right? Because if they forgot their PIN, they can just call and say, hey, they're going to verify that you are indeed you, right? Using KYC or whatever. And, get you back into your account. And it's part of the process and it's part of the journey. I'm pretty sure that eventually she might be able to switch, or maybe her savings, have it in a non-custodial wallet, for example, and be a little bit more responsible there. But it's part of the journey, right? So,
but kids will get it, especially if you teach them early on and with the process
kids,
and how you do it. Right?
Kids are something
the
else.
Non-custodial. Kids will get it.
No, kids are something else.
Oh yeah.
They actually got two non-custodial wallets for the verification at the graduation, for the verification part that they have to restore. They got two different. They got Green Wallet, I believe, and
Bitcoin Green Wallet and Moon.
And they got their keys. We get them a little piece of paper where there were the numbers and stuff, so they can save their stuff.
Yeah, because the thing is, they're not allowed to bring their phones to the school.
Oh.
So obviously learning how to do all that is very important. So at the end, after their final exam, they just left the school eventually, after the ceremony and everything, but just with their piece of paper, with their keys. And they already know how to restore it. So they're going to go home, just simply restore it, and that's it. So kids, we do make sure that they understand how to be.
That's some extra hurdle, not being allowed to bring your own phone to school.
Yes. So we bought phones, and when we, in the lesson when we talk about
Lightning and
wallets and stuff. So, but it's super cool to teach. I mean, it's cool to teach anyone, but kids in particular, because you just have to show them once how to send, and how to receive, and they'll do it. And I just give them the phones, and then does everybody understand what we got to do? Yes. Okay, just play with $5, around the class for 30 minutes, and they just gonna make 30 transactions. They make on-chain transactions, and they're with their phone and taking the time. It's 6 minutes and no confirmations. You know, it's
Yeah.
and they just
No, and we are
it's
full-blown
super.
millennials, and we saw how smartphones started and everything, but kids these days, it's just, I mean, sometimes we sometimes struggle with new apps and whatever. Kids, and we're like click 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 click. I'm
Terms
sorry.
and conditions, yes, confirm.
Well, yeah, sure. Like just skip it, right? Without reading. Oh well. But yeah, I'm extremely bullish on, I mean, sometimes like if I think of my mother, she has some Bitcoin, but she's not custodying, I'm custodying on her behalf. I don't think she will ever get there. But she's old, like kind of old. But
Mhm.
I am very, very confident, like as you said, like kids can pick this up like easily. And
Yeah.
so yeah, non-custodial thing will be more of a thing. While, as you said, like old people who are used maybe to having a custodian, they will probably like use custodial wallets forever.
It's crazy because actually the first person to introduce me to Bitcoin was my mom in 2011 or something like that. She's
Wow.
like, we got the yeah. She's like, we got the currency of the future. It's a digital currency. It's called Bitcoin. Let's buy $500. We were having dinner and we're like, Mom, that's a
You should
freaking
have listened to
scam.
your mom.
And we were like, Mom, that's a scam. That's definitely a scam. Don't put $500 there. You know, it's like, uh, and she's like, no, this is the future. My mom, she's kind of old, but she's very, very, very technological. She's like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's crazy. I'm like, I'm just, she lives in Costa Rica. So the other week the price of Bitcoin was down. She's like, Gloriana, I just sent you $100 to your debit card. I'll send you the invoice. And then she just sent me the invoice for $100. And she's like, send me my Bitcoin right now. And I'm like, okay, Mom. And I just sent it to her.
She just
You
bought
know,
herself some Bitcoin.
yeah, she just bought
Buying
herself
the
some
dip.
Bitcoin. Sorry?
I said buying the dip.
Yes,
Yeah, she
yeah.
was buying the
She was
dip.
buying the
Yeah,
dip, exactly.
yeah.
But she was the first person to well, too bad she didn't buy that was $500 in
You
2011.
should
But
tell your mom about Bitcoin Jungle in Costa Rica. It's a community in Utiva that has also like a circular economy, a Bitcoin economy on Lightning with a lot of
yes,
merchants and
Dominical.
farmers markets. Yes, exactly.
Yes, Dominical. Yeah, I haven't been in Costa Rica for a couple of years, but I want to go back. Well, last time it was before pandemia, and then but I want to go back and I want to go to Bitcoin Jungle, and just see what they're doing, and maybe we can do something with them with education or whatever. And
Yeah.
yeah, because actually that's something that we didn't speak about, but our mission with the diplomado is to take it abroad too. It's the content is created to be shared and to be used, and there is some places right around the world that already contact us that they want to get the
Yep.
diploma program in some schools.
Schools, universities, even some government entities from foreign countries have contacted us, really interested in, just asking us how we can get this diploma here. Like, what is there to do? So there's a lot of interests.
Always, of course, the focus is always on Salvador, but selling the whole program with sorry, selling the whole program to another country or whatever, or state or whatever, can help us get some revenue and keep growing our mission in El Salvador. So it's something that we're looking forward to.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. I mean, and I haven't actually been through the booklet itself, but it's so cool to see the activities, the little Satoshi, why wouldn't you follow in the footsteps that you've gone through? There's a lot of, as you say, proof of work put in, and I'm really excited to see more people reach out to you, adopt this. One side comment, I was thinking with the USD, like we're gonna have to change, like, do you accept Bitcoin to like, do you accept Lightning, or like a Lightning invoice, because the merchant may not have to accept Bitcoin to make you a
Yeah.
Lightning invoice and for you to shoot sats that they can hold in USD. So thank you for pioneering in that way. We've been going like almost an hour and a half. This has been an amazing conversation.
Yeah, very cool.
like I walked into this conversation bullish on me premier Bitcoin, but I'm even now like I need to go through the program myself. I'm now I've got not just bullish but FOMO from not being able to take the program myself. Spend 30 minutes in a room with people zapping invoices around. Now I have another place to visit. Was it Ataco?
Yes.
Ataco, yes.
Ataco, I need to go there. I'll be down in November for adopting Bitcoin, so I can't
Let
wait to
us
see
know.
you
Well,
all.
we'll see each other. We'll meet each other for
Yeah,
sure.
we're gonna meet each other.
Of course. But I don't know. Kamal, any final questions, or should we let them kind of maybe give some final last words and tell us where to find them and how to donate and stuff like that?
Maybe one thing, just as I said, like I really love what you're doing. You're doing God's work. It's really important. It's dear to my heart. Please keep doing it. I think also your approach, making it fun and playful, is the right one. I think learning is the best, and by playing and having fun. Sure, proof of work, but work can be exhausting. Playing, you can learn a lot of things as well, and do the work, and it doesn't feel like work. So that's my experience. So I love that you have that direction, engaging. Obviously, Bitcoin is very interactive. Like you can't, sure, you can send to yourself, but it's meant to send to someone else. So you can, and doing it like in that actionable way, and really showing the magic and letting them execute transactions and recoveries and stuff. I really love that. And I'm very excited to see what you guys will build out for the future, for the Bitcoin ABC, for the 2.0 version of the diploma. And yeah, thanks a lot, and I wish you all the best. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys at Adopting Bitcoin.
Sure.
Thank you. And again, thank you for the time, guys. And it's been a pleasure, and yeah, we'll definitely meet on November, and we're going to take you on a personalized tour if you guys want. I don't know how much your agenda is going to be, but if there's some room for some pupusas and some nice drinks, we're in. Yeah.
Some of that coffee. I'd like some of that special coffee.
Yes. Taco. We gotta go to Taco. It's a wonderful place.
Oof, yeah.
And yeah, from us, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for the space. It's been wonderful to this conversation, and because sometimes we live all this, but not always we sit down and think about what we've done. So it's very cool to have you guys ask us this question, so we can realize again what we're doing and be present in the moment. And yeah, if whoever's seeing this, if you guys want to help us, you can retweet, you can like us, you go follow us. If you want to send some sats, we got Twitter, My First Bitcoin, and Mi Primer Bitcoin. Also Instagram, Mi Primer Bitcoin or My First Bitcoin. And we have our website that is miprimerbitcoin.io, right?
Yeah, and myfirstbitcoin.io.
All
It
right,
redirects to the same website.
There's a donation button there, so if you want to donate some sats, but if you don't, just share our story, like us, retweet us, and yeah, we're gonna keep on working, and yeah, thank you very much for the.
That's
yes,
what
guys.
we'll do. Send some
Right,
sats to Mi Primer Bitcoin and support Bitcoin education in El Salvador. And thank you guys.
Thank you.
With pleasure,
See you
guys.
guys.
Thank you.